It's time to take a ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive with our co-hosts, Alan Saunders and Zachary Smith.
Welcome into another episode of Steelers Afternoon Drive. I'm Zachary Smith. That is Alan Saunders. How are we doing?
I'm doing good, man. I like this whole working on a holiday thing because there's no traffic. It's gonna be the shortest afternoon drive of my life.
Okay. I was wondering where you were going with that because I was just saying interesting that you like working on a holiday, but from that aspect, I can certainly get it as we are, as Alan said, as he is making his afternoon drive. Steelers back on the practice field as they prepare. Alan, when you're in a game week, they're preparing to take on the New York Jets. We'll dive into some of that. Want to start off with the big topic of the day, Jaylen Warren signing a contract extension. It's a new 3-year deal, maxes out at about $17.5 million, gets a nice raise this year, a good portion of guaranteed money within that as well. What do we make of this deal? Are you surprised at all that they got this piece of business done here the week of the same week as the season begins?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. I was thinking this was something that was going to get done in the spring. And then when it didn't get done in the spring, I kind of thought, well, maybe it won't happen.
Yeah, same.
It's interesting that he signed that tender, gosh, it was June. And, hasn't been a word about it since. I think this is good business. I think Jaylen Warren's going to have a big year. And this really, I mean, if you look at this deal, he was already making, $4 or $5 million walking in the door on that RFA tender. Gets a million or maybe $2 million, a little over $2 million raise for this year. Get some guaranteed money put down in 2026, but does it at a pretty reasonable rate. I mean, I think if this Jaylen Warren goes out and has a 1,000-yard season, this is going to be one of the best bargain contracts in the league. You're talking about this guy locked up for 2 more years at really a reasonable contract.
Yeah, I mean, I'm viewing this as a win for the Steelers. I mean, don't get me wrong; it's obviously nice for him to get that guaranteed money, an undrafted guy in 22 who, I think that had he not made anything of himself, it wouldn't have surprised anybody. But really, really good stuff here, and I agree that I think this is a win for the Steelers, though, just because I think that he's a great fit for what they want to do offensively. I think skill set wise, he fits Arthur Smith's offense like a glove with the wide zone stuff they do, what he can do in pass protection, what he can do as a receiving back. I think maybe I'm surprised that he wanted to do this deal, to be honest with you, because I think from his perspective, like you're saying, if he goes out and has a big year, I think he could have done a lot better for himself on the open market. Like, I don't know how that the team was viewing it this way, but just outside looking in from a fan perspective, just the way that the fans have talked about him and stuff, I don't know that his stock was in a great spot right now, coming off of last season, like filled with injury and stuff like that. So I'm more surprised that he wanted to do business than the team wanted to do business, to be honest with you.
I'm never surprised that a running back wants security. You're always one knee injury away from it being all the way over, and those come pretty frequently. So I kind of feel, especially a guy that didn't get any money up front. A lot of guys get that big signing bonus, and then they think, okay, well, if something happens, I've got that in the bank. I don't even think Jaylen Warren got a signing bonus. If he did, it was like $3,000, and then he spent all of that paying off fines his first 2 NFL seasons. So
other people had to pick that up for him, right? I mean, I don't know if that ever got put out there, but
I assumed he got some help. That's fairly common for if you had a younger player. Somebody will usually pick up the tab for him. But that's there's a lot to like if you're a running back about having some stability. I feel like Jaylen Warren would have done this deal all offseason. I don't really understand the process of making him sign the tender and then waiting 3 months. Maybe the Steelers just really wanted to see what Caleb Johnson had to offer and how much of a role they thought Jaylen Warren was going to have this year. I know you said you feel like his stock is down. I feel like this preseason didn't do Caleb Johnson a lot of favors. Like, I don't think that they are like, oh, never mind, we're just going to the rookie. Like, I think Jaylen Warren might barely come off the field. I'm not sure what he does is Caleb Johnson more than it's going to be Kenny Gainwell. Like, I think there's a big role here for Jaylen Warren in the early part of the season at the very least. I mean, he plays well. I think the role's there for the taking, and he's always played well when he's gotten the opportunity. I think people are really overlooking him again this year.
Yeah. No, don't get me wrong. I love Jaylen as a player, and I'm super happy about having him in the fold through the 2027 season. It's just, like I said, coming off of last year where it wasn't super productive because I don't feel like we ever had the best version of Jaylen Warren due to injuries and stuff like that. And I don't know. But definitely a good point there about, the position he plays kind of being unique to just kind of having to chase that security wherever you can find it. And so very interesting. Also, the first contract extension for a running back. I saw this put out there since Willie Parker, which is pretty crazy to think about.
Well, it's the first contract extension for running back since his own earlier this offseason.
Yeah, okay. All right, fair.
Like, I don't know. I guess it depends on how pedantic you want to be about what is and what isn't a contract extension. Trey Edmonds was here for like 5 years. I'm pretty sure he got a couple contract extensions in there. This is the first meaningful commitment to a running back at the future, beyond this coming season. I think that first multi-year extension. Yes.
Well, yeah, maybe that's okay. Yeah. And also the first player from the 2022 class they've given a contract extension to.
The undrafted free agent.
Yeah.
Classic.
So I think just a testament to Jaylen himself. So super happy to have him back in the fold through 2027. And was it?
And hey, I think Jaylen Warren's a great reminder that players can come from anywhere. Like he wasn't even the running back that was undrafted on that team that people were excited about. He had the lower signing bonus of the two undrafted running backs. Maceo Durant, I think was the other one's name. Played at Duke. Yeah. Like Jaylen Warren was supposed to be nobody. So like when we're sitting there at OTAs and I'm talking about some fifth string player, like the odds are low, but they're not zero. Jaylen Warren's a good reminder that does happen. I think he's going to be a star this year, man. I'm buying all the Jaylen Warren stock I can find.
Well, I love to hear that. And I also, again, it's just because it's such a small sample size, right? Like he goes into that preseason game after not seeing much of him in training camp and not playing in the other preseason games, puts the ball on the ground, slips a couple times. So it's just, and I'm not saying that it's rational for people to view it that way. I just think from a fan base perspective, Jaylen's stock a little bit down within the fan base. I'm not saying that should be that way. Again, want to preface.
Yeah, I mean, he's been overlooked his whole life, so I think he's just fine with that. He had a good quote. It said, you try to prove people wrong, and he said, I kind of have always said, I'm out here trying to prove the people that believed in me right. I think that was an interesting way to look at that, and I thought that was a good quote. Yeah,
absolutely. Also, immediately signs this new deal, and he was one of the last guys out of practice.
He had business to do. He had business to take care of. That was, I mean, he signed his contract literally as practice was starting.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Okay, so I read that the wrong way. I thought it was after practice was over, he was one of the last guys to go back in.
No. He was late to practice because he was busy.
Well, that makes sense. It would have made complete sense if he was also one of the last guys on the field. But so I took that the wrong way. All right, I got you. All right. Well, obviously, super happy about that piece of business getting taken care of. I don't know, one more still, maybe a couple more hanging out there still to see if they happen. Alan, we haven't touched on this recently.
Let's talk about that actually. Like who?
Yeah.
Who are the other players that could get a deal done this week?
I mean, the one that came to mind originally wasn't. So I'll bring up Calvin Austin first and foremost. I don't think that it's going to happen, but he falls into the same bucket. I just mentioned that Jaylen was the first guy that came in 2022 that has signed an extension. Calvin Austin was drafted in 2022. He could sign one this week. I don't know if I'm going to predict it to happen. So get your thoughts on that, but also the piece of business that were thrown out there however long ago and still nothing been taken care of there in terms of Cam Hayward and Chris Boswell, and if there's any change there. Because Schefter was on Pat McAfee's show, like kind of making it seem like, hey, we got to wait until Wednesday and see what Cam Hayward does on Wednesday. That could tell us what's going to happen on Sunday. I guess I hadn't let it enter my mind just because like he's been back in the fold, that there was a shot at all that he wouldn't be playing on Sunday. But like, I don't know if Schefter's just not tapped into what's going on right now around the facility, but he made it seem like it's a possibility if that's the case.
Well, first of all, Cam ain't practiced on Wednesday in like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know what Wednesday is going to tell us exactly.
Yeah.
I think
good. Yeah, I don't know why he said Wednesday specifically, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I don't think there's any chance Cam Hayward's going to miss any playing time. I would be a little bit surprised at this point if there's a deal done from the Steelers' standpoint. I think there's a real hesitancy from the Steelers to go back to a deal that they just signed last offseason. And if there is something, it'll be fairly minor, face-saving kind of thing. Chris Boswell, I think, could still happen. That, to me, while they're in the same situation, 2 years left on their deal, I think the difference there is that the Steelers are going to want Chris Boswell for longer than this current contract. They aren't going to want Cam Hayward for longer than this current contract. So I think that changes the perspective for them a little bit. And then, Calvin Austin, I would be okay with being proactive if I was the Steelers. I don't really know. Again, now that's a player that I feel like could bet on himself, because I feel like he's in a position where I would be – if Calvin Austin is healthy and he doesn't demonstratively set a new career high in yards, I will be shocked. I just think that's – it's almost certainly going to happen. So if you're him and you don't love the offer on the table, or maybe there isn't an offer on the table, I think you feel pretty good about betting on yourself and waiting. There aren't really a lot of other options. That's kind of it. Steelers have all this cap space. They don't negotiate during the season. I guess they can save some money for an in-season trade, but
yeah,
it wouldn't surprise me if they find a way to use some more of that money here over the next week.
If I guess another guy that has just 1 year left, but I don't expect this to happen. Just want to real quick bring this up and get your thought. If Isaac Seumalo just plays this last year out, I don't like speculating really ever, but would that just to you signal that this is probably like it for him? Or do you think that he was just going to play on this year regardless? Like if he has no desire to extend his contract, does that mean more so he's just thinking of hanging him up, or possibly signs another contract regardless and just doesn't want to do that piece of business right now?
Yeah, I don't know. He went in with the Eagles and went and played out his last year. So it seems like it's something over the course of his career he's been comfortable doing. I don't know what the future holds for us. I don't know if the Steelers want him beyond this year, to be honest. I don't know that they're that interested in keeping him. So I think there's a lot of unknown there that it's tough to speculate about. I think if I was the Steelers, I'd be a little hesitant at this stage to extend that contract. I think they'd probably like to wait and see what happens.
Yeah. From their perspective, I would agree. I'm in the same bucket. I'm curious if he would be pushing for it at all or just be willing to play out. Clearly he's just willing. He's not pushing for it because haven't heard a thing about it. And he's 6 days away from playing. So, I don't know that there is any other one that would come to mind right now.
No, not really. That's kind of it.
Yeah. Calvin was the one I wanted to bring up.
The only other starter on an expiring contract is Darius Slay, who, I think, seems like he's comfortable with a 1 year deal.
Right.
They would have signed him more if they wanted more.
Was Juan Thornhill just a 1-year deal?
No, I think Thornhill was a 2-year deal.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see how that plays out. Speaking of 1-year deals, somebody that signed a 1-year deal, Aaron Rodgers, named a team captain.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about him.
Named a team captain, which, I mean, I don't know. I just always expect a veteran quarterback, especially of that stature, to be one of the team captains. This is voted on by the players, but Tomlin decides the actual number that they're going to be at. So, I mean, nothing surprising to me about the captains. I guess you can speak to that as well if you expected somebody else to be in there or maybe a different number, but no surprises for me with the 4 that they chose: Aaron Rodgers, TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, and Miles Killebrew.
Yeah, so we'll peel back the curtain a little bit. The players vote on the captains, but then Mike Tomlin decides how many captains there are going to be. You know, like how close it is between 1 and 2 that they're going to have 2 captains represent a unit or just 1, right? And so I'm a little surprised that Pat Freiermuth wasn't a captain. I feel like he earned it, to be honest. But I don't get a vote, so it's the way things go. I would have voted for Pat. I think he did a really nice job in what was a very tumultuous offseason of keeping the core of this offense together and on the right path. You know, like, do you remember last year and before OTAs, Mike Tomlin was like, yeah, we're naming Russell Wilson our starter now because it's important to have leadership in this early part of the offseason. It's basically his whole reasoning for naming Russell Wilson the starter when he did. It's just didn't have Aaron Rodgers in the building that time. And I feel like that was when we really saw Pat step up and be a leader on this offense. And so I think mostly just for that, I would have been comfortable in making him a captain. But, again, I don't get a vote, and I don't get to decide. But other than that, that's about the only thing. I guess you could have included Boswell as a special teams captain, but Killebrew's the real leader there. I mean, not to denigrate what Boswell does at all, but, he's got about the world's best work-life balance for an NFL player, right?
If the player could turn it down, I think Chris Boswell would turn down being a team captain.
Absolutely. He's nobody's rah-rah guy. He doesn't practice that much. It's working for him, man. He's the best kicker in the NFL. I'm not saying he should be doing it any different. Just not sure it really translates to captaincy the way that what Miles Killebrew does in terms of getting people involved in special teams and directing traffic and making sure there aren't dumb procedural penalties for guys who are spending 80 to 90% of their waking moments doing another job. That's much more of a leadership position than what Boz has been doing. But, if you wanted to make Boz a captain, I wouldn't argue with you.
I always, man, it's tough. I wanted to touch on the Pat thing, but, I always feel like I'm teetering in this weird spot and, people know that I'm biased and stuff like that. But, it's hard for me to not agree and, trying to take off that lens just because I see what he does off the field as well. And just how much he cares about this, in the conversations that we have about how much he cares about it. And I also think it's important to have continuity. And I'm not taking away from Aaron here, but you're talking about, we said, a guy in a 1-year deal. It'd be nice if we knew that there was the possibility of it being the same guy as the offensive captain here for a couple seasons, or a guy that's at least been in this locker room for a while that understand. Aaron's done a great job integrating himself in this culture and getting to know guys and stuff like that. But Pat's been around the block a couple times now within this organization. And I don't know. I felt like he had earned it this year. I thought they would go with 5 and he would be a second one because I assumed Aaron would be one of them. And I was hopeful of that being the case, but alas.
Yeah, I'd have a hard time putting Pat over Aaron just because you walk in the door with 4 MVPs and 21 years of experience, you probably should be a team captain. Yep. But I think they're certainly deserving of
I guess my point was if you're talking about bringing in a guy that's like that, it's on a 1. And I would have said the same thing about Russell Wilson last year where you talked about a guy on a 1-year deal and you're not sure. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
New different offensive captain. No, 5 years because it would have been – was Ben a captain in 21?
Oh, I'm sure.
So it would have been Ben. And then wasn't Najee a captain in there somewhere? Maybe 22?
I'm pretty sure Trubisky was. I'm pretty sure Trubisky was.
Trubisky and Najee in 22, then Pickett in 23, then Russ in 24, now Aaron in 25, now somebody else in 26, right? Yeah. So you're sort of guaranteeing 6 years in a row of different captains on the offense. Yeah, I agree. I think just for that sake alone, it makes sense to give it to someone that you know is going to be here.
Yeah. So I wasn't making the case for instead of. I was in addition to, because it's a guy on a 1-year deal and knowing that there's going to be continued turnover there. So I don't know. Oh, the other guy I want to shout out.
Maximum number of team captains. I saw somebody with 7.
Oh, somebody has 9.
Yeah, like it's not.
Yeah. I want, and again, like Cam and TJ already they were going to be the defensive captains, everything like that. For the same reason that I said about Pat, I would say the same thing about Highsmith as well. I just feel like he's done a great job off the field, being an ambassador for this organization and really integrating himself and just understanding what it's all about and why he's in the position that he's in and who gets him to that spot. So that's another guy that I just feel like has really taken on a leadership role that I just feel like continues to show more and more as time goes on.
You're biased for Pat and you're biased for Smitty. It's shocking.
Yeah, well, I mean, nickname-wise, it's got to be, like, he checks all the boxes for me. You talked to a couple of guys, though, about Aaron being a captain. I'm curious what they had to say in regards to it. Mason McCormick, TJ Watt, sharing their thoughts on that being the case. Again, a guy coming in here, getting integrated pretty quickly, and just, I think, speaks volumes that his teammates already feel the way they do about him.
Yeah. Talked to Mason McCormick. Very interesting. I saw Aaron and Mason walk off the practice field together, having a long conversation today. They talk a lot. Like, they're like, I don't want to overstate the relationship. I don't know if friends is the right word. They're frequently in conversation. Now, Mason's a gregarious guy, so like that tracks just personality wise. But like, I just think it's interesting that there's 20 years of difference between those guys, and they're able to still form a connection and build a relationship. And man, like, Aaron has been such a good leader. He has been everything the Steelers could have possibly asked him to be in terms of being a leader. And I think, like, just that fact alone, I mean, he's a 4th-round guard, 2nd-year pro. Like, in terms of, like, the NFL, Mason McCormick's a nobody. Right. And like, Aaron Rodgers is like, this guy's kind of cool. I think I want to be friends with him. Like, I think it's, on one hand, picking your 4-time former MVP, 21-year vet, future Hall of Famer as a team captain is kind of a no-brainer, like we talked about. But on the other hand, I think it is a good time to stop and point out the things he's done and say, he really has embraced a leadership role here to a level that I don't think anyone expected. Like, he has been everything the Steelers could have possibly asked him to be. He's poured into young players. He's been available. He's formed relationships. And the thing that Mason said to me that really stood out was, it feels genuine. Like, none of it feels like he's doing these things because that's what he's supposed to do, or that that's what the expectation is, or that that's what somebody else wants him to do. It just feels like that's what he wants to do. He wants to be one of the guys, and he's found a way to do that. I think it's really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, full transparency, I had quite a bit of skepticism about how this would work on a personal level. But I couldn't be more impressed just in terms of everything that I've heard and seen take place here at the early portions of this. Now, again, I think important to point out, nothing bad has happened yet. We haven't played a single game. So I'm not predicting that it's going to go south, just saying that's when we'll find out if it's going to, is when things potentially could go wrong. The other guy that you mentioned that you talked to today in this, I was very curious about this, was Beanie Bishop. After getting cut, he was probably, when you looked at the cuts, like the one that stood out to everybody and people were upset about, to be quite frank with you. I mean, I got a lot of backlash on a post that I put out there about this. Obviously had 4 interceptions last year, was a major contributor as a UDFA. So what did he have to say about getting cut and then finding his way back into the fold?
Basically, he had a great line. He said, I wasn't surprised. I kind of saw the writing on the wall, but I was pissed. Yeah, it's like, I was still pissed. Like, I'm not surprised, but still pissed.
Yeah.
And, I think he said, look, they brought in Jalen Ramsey to play my position. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I'm not going to beat out Jalen Ramsey. He's like, what I really need to do is, it just showed me that I need to be able to do more than one thing. That if I'm going to be on a team, then I have to find a way to also be a major contributor on special teams. I have to show them that I can play other positions. And he's like, and the cool thing about being on the practice squad is I don't have a job that I have to get ready for every week. So I can spend my week if Beanie's going to go out and be the slot corner in week 1 and is going to be playing Alan Lazard, he's got to be working on stuff regarding that matchup all week, like super locked in to what he's going to do. But if he's not doing that, then he can go out and play Sauce Gardner on the scout team and try to cover DK Metcalf, right? And in some ways, I think if you look at the big picture of his development, I think Beanie is probably a player who would have been better served by not playing as much as he did last year. And we'll see where he can go. He's still never going to overcome his size. That is just something that he's always going to have to deal with. But there are plenty of smaller corners that are also special teams contributors that can also play safety in addition to nickel, that can play dime, he didn't really get to do any of that. They were like, oh crap, we're playing this undrafted rookie in the slot. Here's the cram for the test every single week just to try to get him through the week to get the job done. And I think this is an opportunity to really focus on his development as an overall player. And I think the Steelers, and he said the reason he came back, because obviously clear waivers could have gone anywhere, was that he feels like they still trust him, that they will give him a chance if they need somebody down the road.
Cool. No, I mean, everything that you said there was, I think, awesome. I mean, that's exactly how you want a player to respond. I would have been a little worried if he wasn't pissed. If he was just like, oh yeah, I mean, it's whatever. I mean, that's the right mindset to have, in my opinion. And honestly, a lot of stuff that you said there would not have been things that I would have talked about. Would he have benefited from having a red shirt year last year if they had a better option to play in the slot immediately? Maybe, I don't know that it would have gone well for the team, but say Cam Sutton wasn't facing suspension and was just in that role the entire year and Beanie was taking a back seat, could it have been better for the long term? I mean, a Beanie Bishop, not the Steelers, potentially. I didn't think about that. We talked about and again, I'm not comparing situations here. It's just because I've said they use these same terms. A red shirt year on the practice squad for JJ Galbraith to put on weight. I'm not talking about Beanie Bishop getting any bigger or anything like that, but more so just owning in on his skills and finding a way to become a more versatile player. So that's interesting stuff. That's actually more than I expected to come out of that conversation.
Yeah, me too. I was hopeful that I'd at least get a soundbite. I did get that, but I think I got some substance too, which is always really nice. Beanie's a great interview, so I always appreciate that.
KPB, we want to get to at least one question here, and KPB said, "Gonna keep asking this, but by the way, I believe this is something that we've talked about. Maybe this was before or after they came into the audience. But are the Steelers pricing themselves out of a quarterback in next year's draft? Looks like many teams are going to be trying for one as well. Colts, Saints, Browns, Jets, Rams, Giants, to name a few. Some of the teams even have multiple first-round picks. Yes, the QB watching is now fully on. Obviously, going to have a ton of content on Steelers now regarding the quarterback stuff. But this past week was a big one, kicked off in a big way. We'll continue going forward. But Alan, what's your thought on this? As the Steelers have been locked into quarterback for quite some time, as far back. Think about it. The draft's not until April 2026, September 2025, and we're talking about one specific position being their first round pick.
Yeah, and no, I'm not concerned about them pricing themselves out of quarterback. That's why they have 12 draft picks, so they can trade up. And they're going to hold on to those draft picks, man, because they may need to go up pretty far. But I think it's a deep quarterback class. I don't think anything I saw this weekend dissuades me from that opinion. I still think you're going to get potential franchise quarterback types in the 10 to 15 range, and that feels like the kind of draft the Steelers need to move up and go get somebody. Because the ones that only have 2 or 3 guys, it's really hard to move up. Yeah. But if you have 4, 5, 6, then I think it starts to look feasible for the Steelers, and I think that's where we sit right now.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. Just throwing this out there. Madden, yeah, I'm bringing Madden into the conversation here. Won a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers in year 1, traded up for Cade Klubnik at 8th overall in year 2, and it's done pretty well so far in year 2. I'm not saying the Steelers got to follow my blueprint here, but just throwing it out there that that's what happened. In week 1, Alan, who stood out to you amongst the quarterbacks? You know what? I'm gonna put a spin on this. I don't necessarily like to talk negatively, but in both directions. Who surprised you positively and negatively in week 1?
I thought Garrett Nussmeier looked good. I thought Drew Aller looked good. I thought Sam Levitt looked good. I did not. Much of I thought Cade Klubnik was disappointing. I'd agree. I think there was a lot of overreaction to how bad Arch Manning was. Like, he wasn't good, but there's a lot of buts there. First start as the starting quarterback on the road at Ohio State. Third career start.
First time he threw a pass in an away stadium.
Yeah, right. In one of the toughest places to play in the country. And I didn't think Nico Iamaleava was someone that we included in that top group of quarterbacks until everything went weird with Tennessee. And then everybody kind of forgot about him because he went to UCLA, and that's a forgettable program. And then he played Utah in week 1, and I was like, well, here's the chance. So you go out and hang 50 on Utah, then all of a sudden, like, the hype train's right back there. Did not go well. Did not go well. So, yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to live and die on every week, but I just think there's still 6 guys I feel good about being in this first round right now, and I think there's a chance there's more. Carson Beck looked good. There's more guys down the list that, like, right now, this time last year, nobody had Cam Ward in the first round, let alone number 1 overall. So, there's a long way to go.
Let's I say we kick the can down the road a couple more years and draft a freshman out of Cal. That's I can't remember how you pronounce his name, to be honest with you now as we sit here, but took over. Obviously Mendoza went to Indiana. And by the way, I thought had some dimes. Also some that's DB's guy, by the way. Some not so great moments, but he put a ton on the money that his wide receivers did not help him out on. But yeah, the kid out of Cal's only, and I'm joking, by the way, we're not kicking the can down the road a couple more years, but that kid was popping. He's also a lefty, which I know some people write him off just because of that. But so anyway, I think Mendoza is definitely a guy. We know that's DB's guy for sure. I don't know if that's going to continue.
Give him any more hype on this channel than DB is already going to.
Absolutely. I don't know what would have to happen this season for him to not be QB1 when it's all said and done, but I hope that we don't get to that point. Hope all these guys absolutely light it up, and like you're saying, they have 6, 7 plus guys that are options there, because that would obviously make it a lot easier to do the piece of business that they're going to have to do to get up and get one of them. So good stuff as always. Do another one of these tomorrow, Alan. But until then, tell the people they can find you.
Hey, Saunders _ PGH on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. PGH Steelers Now site's account, SteelersNow.com. Go there, read the word so I can get paid. Sign up for SN Plus, and you get access to our subscribers only live stream, all the best content from me, DB, and the rest of the Steelers Now team, plus an ad-free reading experience and my undying love and gratitude, which is worth more than all that combined. We really do appreciate our subscribers. They're the reason that I get to do cool things like travel to New York this weekend, which I am doing. I'm excited about that for week 1. Of course, anyone can subscribe, hit that bell for notifications here on the YouTube platform. That's free and helps us continue to grow our channel. And Smitty, have we got an appropriate number today? 16,500 and YA Black, who changed his number from 78 to 94, was in it for the first time at practice today. Video of the gut in 94 is one video up here on the YouTube channel. First of all, what are your thoughts on YA in 94?
Love it. Honestly, looks basically the same aesthetic as he had in college, because everybody talks about how similar the uniforms are. I'm a big fan of the way that 94 looked on him in college, so I like it here. Also, I like the way it looked on Alu. Timmons is one of my more underappreciated Steelers of all time, in my opinion as well. Thought that Thought the Law Dog looked good in 94. So I like 94 as a number. If you're in the front seven on the defense, I'm a fan of 94. I think you do a lot worse.
Chad Brown, 94.
Yes.
It was a great.
Yes.
I think in general, I think I think the Steelers look good no matter what the uniform they wear. But I think that like the linemen with numbers in like the 90s and the 60s look a lot better with the block numbers. Like
okay, yeah,
like Hines Ward 86 in the italic number, like that's a receiver number. In the you know what I'm saying? Like it looks a little better. But like those numbers that are bigger, like the 80s and the 90s and the 60s, like there's just a lot of number there. I want to see 94 in block. I think that's a good look for Wyatt Black. I asked him about the number. He said he was just given it at Iowa, and then he wasn't like he didn't pick. And then when he had the ability to get his college number, went out and got it. A couple other new uniform numbers: Asezi Otomuwo in 93, Andrews Pete in 71, and then some guys in the practice squad: Trey Sermon in 37, Deshaun Jameson in 38, and Max Hurleman 84.
Yes. Yeah. Carrying on I don't know if Max Hurleman was the guy I thought was going to pick up the Antonio Brown number. But
I was kind of hoping that he would continue to play wide receiver wearing 34 just because he technically started.
Well, that's true.
Back,
this officially this completes the transition to wide receiver. I feel like this is it already happened.
But I always think those are cool when it's like, why does this guy wear this number? Oh, because for one OTAs his rookie year, he was a running back. So now for the rest of his career, he's 34. I don't know. I think those are cool. Dwight Stone, when I was a kid, mostly played wide receiver for the Steelers, wore number 20. Same exact thing. Like I always thought that was fun.
Yeah. No, I like it. I appreciate that he gave a little bit of a period of time here after Dean Lowry's unfortunate injury and him no longer being in the fold. But 94 became available, and YA is going to wear that going forward. And I think it's going to look good. So
I did kind of like 78 on him too. I thought 78 was a good fit for him also.
I mean, I'm not saying it looked.
Is it an objectively better number?
Yeah, I'm not saying it looked bad. We got to see it on him and see the gut out. I think, not just on him, but you also got to see that aspect of it to see how it's going to translate.
We've seen it. It's on the YouTube channel. One video up. You can see 94.
Is his gut out?
And what? Of course, his gut's out.
Okay.
Of course it is.
Yeah, bad question.
Hashtag free the gut.
Okay. All right. Because I was going to say 78, I don't think looked bad. He made it look better. But I think of offensive line before defensive line for 78.
Agreed. Although Dwight White was 78. He was that good defensive line. And though, not tackle.
All right. As we said, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Hit us with your thoughts in the comments, anything that we talked about today, question for a future episode, all that good stuff. Leave us a 5-star review and subscribe if you're listening somewhere else, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. We are there. Just search Steelers Afternoon Drive. Do the same thing on TikTok. You'll find me everywhere. Zachary Smith, PGH for Alan Saunders and myself. Thanks for jumping in. Take another ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive.